What's going on, guys? It's your boy Sean Black, aka DFS 5050. You can check me out on IG at DFS 5050 or on my Facebook page, facebook.com/DFS 5050. Today, what I wanted to show you guys is a site that I have been put onto by the DFS Army. Shout out to the DFS Army. They're really awesome. I have a link in the description below where you can check out some of their columns and everything else that they have to offer there. However, they were basically putting on the members to Fantasydraft, and with Fantasydraft, as of right now, the majority share of the sharks, those are the people who win a lot of money across all the DFS sites. They are not necessarily on this site too much. And I mean, some are. I've seen a couple in there, like CSU Ram 88 and a couple of other guys. But they usually target the bigger tournaments. But for the smaller tournaments, you don't really see those guys in there. And for that reason, across the industry, they call this a soft competition. So anybody or anyone, for that matter, who has a basic skill set and has won, somewhat consistently across the DFS platforms can come in here and potentially dominate small tournaments, cash games, double ups, multipliers, and even qualifiers and whatnot. So what I did, I decided to join a beginner contest, 500 first down. Top prize was $50, in which three people tied for first. So they were only able to get $33 out of that. My lineup here, I placed 13 in 13th place out of 476 players. Originally, it was intended for 568, so there was a decent amount of overlay. And whenever you have an overlay, that basically gives you an opportunity to get higher up in the placements, thus providing you with more cash. At one point in time, I was up about $10, and then of course it dropped down to $5. And just wanted to go over my lineup. The lineup that I had was Brian Hoyer. I had DeMarco Murray. I had Mark Ingram, Michael Crabtree, Terrell Pryor, Jordan Reed, Mike Wallace, and Tony Brown, and the Ravens. Had I done it a little bit differently, I probably would have targeted Steve Smith Sr. He has some really good points, and I would have targeted a different defense. I probably would have got Atlanta defense. I think they were cheaper than the Ravens defense, if I'm not mistaken. But another thing that I wanted to show you guys too, and of course I preach this all across my videos, is the ownership percentages were a whole lot different in here, and that also contributed to me getting up there in the placements. So I was in 13th place. Of course, out of $1, I won 5, so 5 times my money. Excuse me. But Brian Hoyer had 0%. In this particular draft, DeMarco Murray was 17%, Mark Ingram was 5%, Michael Crabtree is 2%, Terrell Pryor 17%, Jordan Reed 4%, Mike Wallace 3%, Antonio Brown 24%, and the Ravens D was at 3%, which they only gained me 1 point. But the thing that I want to say is, in this site, you're going to see a lot of novice players come in. And of course, I know by the time everyone gets wind of this, everyone's like, oh, they're going to try to change up their strategies and everything. But it's not really going to deviate from the fact that there's still going to be some people that are going to be green on, chalky players. And then, they're scrambling to try to figure out what other players they can fit into their salary. So once you get a hang of the salary cap, you can start to understand where you can find the most value. With Brian Hoyer, honestly, he wasn't necessarily on my radar, so to speak. But what I was reading up on him through an email blast that I get from a DFS newsletter, and they were basically saying that he was a streamer option. And I was like, well, let me check him out. Let me see what he can do and everything. And so he did exactly that. I paired him up with with Terrell Pryor. I'm not sure if he was responsible for Terrell Pryor's TD or not, but that correlation right there, that was a good stack. Nonetheless, I keep thinking about someone else. Not Hoyer and Pryor. Who's that other guy? I'm getting my quarterbacks mixed up, and for the life of me, I can't remember the other guy's name. But the quarterback that played, I think Kessler. There we go, Kessler. He was a good stat with Terrell Pryor, even though they lost. But I just looked at him. I said I wasn't sure of his production, so I went with Brian Hoyer. I'm glad I went with Brian Hoyer. I wasn't sure who I could have paired him up with that gained those touchdowns. However, he was a good look. DeMarco Murray and Pryor and Antonio Brown were really the highest owned in my lineup. But the cool thing about this site too that I want to show you guys, it's very interesting actually, and it's going to be very interesting going into the NBA season. They have 2 flex positions. Okay. And, honestly, I was a bit taken back when I saw that because, with Draftkings, they have 1 flex, and then on FanDuel, they have 0 flex. They have a kicker, right? So when it comes to this, it's going to be very interesting moving forward. But as you can see here, they also give you like a summary of the valuable players, just something to look at, not for you to chase points going into week 5. But, just to see, overall ownership, overall salary, and, some good stats to follow through with, okay? And, this site is pretty easy to use. Again, I'm actually happy that I actually signed on. Only put in like $25. My goal always is to put, a small amount of money in and to grow it and to build it and to make it bigger than what it was from the initial deposit. And I feel like I can do that here with Fantasydraft. Again, it's soft competition. I'm taking advantage of what I've learned through DFS Army and a lot of the beat writers and a lot of articles that I read. And I'm going to attack this site with some lineups, and build my bankroll and go from there. Let's see here. Let's see how many entries did I have in this one here. I think I had 1 or 2 entries. Yep, I had 2 entries. Okay, so here's the other entry that I had. Let me pull this one up here. I had Matthew Stafford, David Johnson, Carlos Hyde, Jamison Crowder, Marvin Jones Jr., Zach Miller, Stephon Diggs, AJ Green, and Minnesota Vikings. And this particular tournament I did Sunday through Monday. And as you can see, I really wish I would have went with the Vikings. But it's okay. I mean, it's only 8 points. So it got me 200 points, which in reality would have positioned me not 200 points. It would have got me 190. I apologize. 190. I would have got 7th place, and I would have been up, what, $7, give or take. It's whatever. I mean, small money is better than none, right? So, again, Matthew Stafford was 13% owned. David Johnson was 27%. Carlos Hyde was 16. Jamison Crowder was 6. I was really big on Jamison Crowder only because I felt like he was going to get the majority share of the targets. Unfortunately, that was not the case. I really didn't get a chance to watch all of that game. I didn't get a chance to see the stats to see where the money was going, where the opportunity was going, I should say. Marvin Jones, honestly, with Marvin Jones, I was chasing points from his previous week, and and it can't not necessarily bit me in the ass, but I mean, 12.4 fantasy points. I mean, you can do something with that only if the player is lower owned. Zach Miller, he was very high on my list of players to target in the tight end position outside of Kyle Rudolph and Greg Olsen, which all of them performed very well, especially for their price points. They performed extremely well. I wasn't surprised that Zach Miller was 14% owned, and, I was satisfied with his results, honestly. I wish I would have got more out of Matthew Stafford and Crowder, and also Diggs, who I had high on my list. But then again, when I found out that he was still kind of nursing a groin injury, I said, damn, it's too late for me to, remove him and put someone else in place of him there. And that's the thing about fantasy draft is that unlike Draftkings, they don't let you do late swaps. You have to do everything before, before the 15-minute. You have to do everything before game lock. And that's on Thursday. So if you're doing, Thursday through Monday, make sure, your players are not going through any kind of significant injuries, or they don't have any baby mama drama, or they didn't, eat the wrong type of sushi the night before, and plug those guys in. So one of the things that I'm personally going to do, I noticed that all across the DFS sites, especially FanDuel and DraftKings, is that when you play the Sunday through Monday games and you have the right players, you don't really need a lot of points to score. Let me show y'all something here. I'm going to show you here. I think here, the lowest you had to score to win. Let's see. Let's see what we have here. See if I can go down a little bit more. There we go. So with this site, it's almost similar to DFS as their scoring system, but in this particular site, you needed 146.54 points to score. So had Stafford given me, his usual 22 to 25 fantasy points, and had Jamison Crowder did about 12 or some change, this lineup right here could have easily cashed. Okay, and the thing is, I'm pretty sure that this 123.02 might have been good for a 50-50 and potentially a double up. But I like to target GPPs more. But of course, in the other videos, I told y'all that going into week 5, I'm going to definitely take some time out to put more effort into doing more cash games, because I want to see a significant change in my bankroll. And I know that, when you play grand prize pool tournaments, you basically, have to, in order for you to see a significant amount of cash, you have to be in the top 3 to 5% to really see a significant amount of cash. And sometimes that could be a daunting task, especially if, let's say, for instance, one week, you didn't really do the best research in the world, or, last minute someone, decides they don't want to play, that type of thing. Sometimes you can't predict those things. But for what it's worth, I like this site. I like the way they have everything set up. The only thing I can say about this site, I spoke to one of the support guys. They were saying that they're working on an iPhone app and an Android app, because they're not on the in the App Store at all. So basically, you would have to do it through Safari or through an Explorer if you have an Android or whatever type of web browser that y'all use, or more or less get on your desktop. And of course, I'm showing you this from my desktop, and the way they do everything here is pretty user friendly. If you join for the first time, basically you can just go to NFL, beginner, beginner intermediate, and then you can pick the type of contest that you want to enter into, with that being you being the first time player and whatnot. So I'm definitely going to jump into maybe a couple of these $2 to $5 50-50s and double ups. Just going to utilize my bankroll. I mean, at this point, I really can't lose by putting some more money out there. But most importantly, I already have some lineups in play that I want to use for the Thursday through Monday slate. And let's see, this one right here, first place is going to be $50, and then with the other one here, it's going to be $40 for the first place. And again, what I'm going for, guys, is I'm going for building my bankroll. That's the most important thing that I want to do on this site first. I want to build my bankroll first, and then from there, I will start taking on some of the larger tournaments. That's really my main goal. Also, across FanDuel and Draftkings too, is basically, build my bankroll up to where I can start, going into some of these, 10 to $25 entries where they have bigger prize pool. I mean, just imagine, um, you know, 4,500 people are only playing in this particular contest. And let's say, for instance, I hit, with that $25, I can hit top 50. Top 50 right there, that's some good money right there. You know what I mean? Top 10 would be even better. Top 5 is awesome. And of course, everyone wants to be number 1, right? So again, I'm working on building my bankroll to where I can get to that level where I can play those larger tournaments and everything like that. And so, for right now, I'm going to focus on the dollar tournaments and, do some double ups and 50-50s and whatnot, and then basically just go from there. They do have a match. If you deposit 25, they'll match 25, but their system is almost as similar as FanDuel. You only get, they're only going to give you 4% of your money back every time you enter a contest, and the contest locks. They only give you 4% back, and it adds up to the amount that you're being matched by. But it's going to be solely dependent on how many entries you put in and how frequently you put in those entries. Okay. Again, I said, this is very, very user friendly. Their whole setup, and just take a chance to look at it. I put a link on the in the description below. Check it out. Let me know what you think. And hey, I want to wish you guys the best. Thank you so much for tuning in. And also, I will be doing another video going into week 5 and kind of putting out some plays that I would do for the Sunday slates. And of course, I'm going to be going into Daily Fantasy Nerd and utilizing their optimizer. Now, the one thing that I will say is they don't support fantasy draft at the moment, but I'm pretty sure if I can get, if enough people are requesting for them to, get on fantasy draft, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to work something out. I guess it's just a matter of popularity votes regarding that. Okay. And as it's loading up, if you haven't checked out Daily Fantasy Nerd for your Draftkings and Draftkings NFL or FanDuel NFL needs, check it out. Even if you use this platform, the free version, you can still utilize the information that is given to you here. I mean, of course, y'all already know that I'm very big on the defense versus position. I will live and die by that strategy, man. And then from there, I will create my variations and go from there, right? So, look at their information. Look at their heat map. The heat map, I feel, is what really brings this thing on home for me when it comes to creating my lineups. I love their heat map, and it shows certain things. You can see who's the hot player right now. Like, for example, going into week 5, a lot of people are going to be targeting Antonio Brown. And if New Jersey can keep up with the Steelers, which I certainly doubt, but if they can, then you can see more production out of Antonio Brown. And instead of him just doing, a cool 20, he could probably do a cool 30 or a cool 40, and he could be the Julio Jones of week 5, right? So just something to think about. And again, as the stats and information comes in, I'll definitely do another video regarding that on my lineup builder show. Again, this is your boy Sean Black. Thank you so much for tuning in. And with that being said, I will holler at y'all later. Peace.